Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Developing the Leader Within podcast. I'm Enrique, your host, and I am on the third leg of my multi international birthday month, right? I take these tours during my birth month and get out and see the world. And this is the way we see it. But today I have Ruqya Khan with me, all the way from the UAE. Kaya, thank you so much for sharing this platform with me today. I am so elated and so looking forward to hearing about Smile. If there's anything better than a leader that can smile, I don't know of it, right? Because there is nothing better than a leader that can smile. But today, I want to give you the platform, let you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit of what were you doing, and we'll get right into it.
Thank you so much, Enrique, for having me on your platform. And I am so excited to celebrate your birthday month with you and your listeners and with a smile. Um, who am I? I am someone who comes from the world of words, 20 years into media and asking people questions. And I thought, how can I make this better by contributing with my questions? So I segued into being a life coach, and I am better known as the Smile Strategist.
And smile you do, and I tell you that I follow you on Twitter, I look at your videos, I see you on YouTube, and you're an author, TEDx speaker. You've outdone yourself here.
Thank
And
you.
and for a lot of leaders that do not know how to smile, and we're going to get into that. That's your forte, and I'm looking forward to hearing all about it. But for leaders that don't know how to smile, the only thing left is a frown. And many times, and times like these, that we've gone through an extended period of stress and anxiety and pressure, worry, right? Some people don't have too much to smile about. But I'm a smile from the time I open up my eyes, right, to the time I lay my head to on the pillow. Um, but you've transitioned from an active, a broadcast type, a commentator, wordsmith, and you're using that now to enlighten people's and bring light to life. How did you find that transition as you're going along?
Hmm. I love that question, Enrique, because I like the fact that you say I'm bringing light to people. And that's really what it is for me because I started doing my conversations, my daily conversations that you were speaking about on my Facebook page, YouTube, and Instagram. All of those at the darkest time of my life. I would I would definitely call it one of the darkest times of my life because that was the time when the children had left the nest. And you might say, oh, so what's the big deal with children leaving the nest? So many empty nesters. But that's also the time when I lost my father. So it was like two blows that life gave me back to back. And I am a single child, very attached to my dad. So when I finally got home after sending him off and came back to my home, it was empty. It was dark. It was lonely. I felt abandoned to some extent. Of course, my husband was with me and he stood by my side. But you know, I longed and ached for conversations with my father because he was my go-to place when I would feel lost. So I gave myself some time, obviously, to kind of come around it. And then when I did get the opportunity to kind of really realign and assess what I'm doing with what I've been given in terms of skill set and capacities, I realized I'm being unfair. And there's so much that I can give people with the smile strategy that I coined. And so that's where those conversations actually began. Um, so that's how the whole process of being light for someone came into play. And yeah.
Isn't it amazing that always out of darkness? And I shared with you, I've shared with the listening audience. Um, back in April. My mom passed due to COVID, and it would have been easy. Now, I will tell you, you said you took some time. I needed some time. I needed about 2.5 months to get even my thoughts to sync with my actions, right? So it did take some time. Um, but it's in those areas where we find, it's almost like a solitude. Uh, and those moments of solitude are needed in life, and then you can actually find purpose after that. And it's unfortunate that those periods must come, right? No, everybody knows we will pass somewhere, at some time, but nobody really, likes it. There's nobody does, but it's in those periods where our defined purpose becomes a little more clearer, and it looks like that's what happened to you. Your defined purpose became more clearer, and we are the benefactors of it. And so I thank you for coming through that. Some people hold back, but you came through it, and it's been amazing since then. I was looking at a lot of your posts. 1,170 days of daily inspiration, and what a light.
Yes.
Rukia, you have done a marvelous job from that time on to today, and I applaud you for that. Uh, and so you're bringing people smile. Right? Let's talk about that.
Yes. So the smile was coined for my TEDx talk. I did the talk in 2016, and the summer of 2016, I didn't think much of it. It was just something I delivered. TEDx was something I wanted to do. So when I got the opportunity, I said yes. I came up with a formula because it's all about ideas worth sharing. I came up with an idea, presented, and that's it. But then I started getting invited to universities to present to students about stress management and happiness. And I thought, this would be a great place to kind of explore this further in terms of public speaking, in terms of delivering as a coach. And so I evolved this into a workshop. So the smile strategy by itself is comes later. First, you have the fact that when you're stuck in life, you get from feeling stuck to unstuck using gratitude and acceptance. And I say acceptance comes when you smile. S stands for silence the mind. M is manage your attention. I identify the intention. L let things go. And E is energize the possibilities. So, five simple steps that get you from feeling stuck to unstuck. It's all about acceptance.
I love that because a lot of folks don't understand the power of silence. You know, there is so much to be discovered when there's nothing.
True.
And I love how you start with that. Then you go into management, but let's talk about the silence part real quick, because uh, you came up with that one primarily first for a reason. So what was that?
Um, can I be very honest with you? I don't know why I came up with that the very first. I'm being very honest with you. It was pretty much, I don't know if you believe in this, Enrique, but when you sit with something and you ask to be guided and you are given a gift and you are told this is your message, that's what it was for me. I was looking for an acronym that would click with everyone. I knew on the larger scale what I wanted to deliver on my TEDx talk. I knew that I did not like the fact that people complained about life and they did not take ownership. And I wanted to share my story so that it conveyed a message of possibility. For someone who's a graduate of science, suddenly working in media, married with kids, and then doing everything because she's aware that her kids are watching, all of that I wanted it to unfold, and I wanted a hook, some kind of a message that would stick. And so the smile happened. But now, interestingly, when my posts and other things show up on Facebook memories, I realized I've always spoken about the smile. I mean, um, a lot of my quotes have got the word smile in it. And it was something unconscious that came up. But the more I started doing my workshops and working with it, the more I realized how beautifully one weaves into the other, and the importance of the silence in itself. A lot of people feel overwhelmed when there's silence around them. They don't know what to do with the silence. But for me, being someone who's always been a little more within myself and I internalize things, so I've never been fearful of silence as such.
Well, first of all, thank you for your honesty and sharing that with me. But because you unraveled something that as you was talking, um, I was thinking to myself, well, she just didn't realize that it was divinely appointed. You know, that was always in you. This is a way to to segue you into your purpose. And so I love you. I love your honesty, and I love how uh you know the divine just comes out in the silence, because what happens is that a lot of people, they require, you just mentioned, they require a lot of noise, but you can get lost in the noise.
Yes.
Not only can you get the lost in the noise, but others can get lost in noise. But when there is complete silence, even a pin drop can be heard. So that is where the best voices come out. And so your best voice is coming out in the silence right out the gate. And so thank you for sharing that with me. Now you talk about management, your second point here.
Yes.
Um, what was your intent with this particular section of the smile?
So the second point is manage your attention. And again, the intent here was about managing what you are doing. It's about, again, shifting the focus from outside to inside. So a lot of times people talk about, all the things that are going wrong on the outside, but they do not consider how they are responsible or allowing for it to happen. So if you can shift the attention, you can manage your attention instead of focusing on the bad, focusing on the positive, the gratitude, um, the possibilities. So that's super important. Once you have the silence, then you need to make sure you are managing your focus in the right direction. That's when you are able to find your way around.
I love that because a, a lot of people find themselves in silence, don't know what to do. They need the noise, so they're going. Whatever comes their way. But true leadership knows how to raise the volume or lower the volume in their situation, and then focus on what needs to be done. And in managing what your attention is going towards, it's a skill. It's something that a lot of people don't have. A lot of people wish they had. So I love that you brought it into the smile uh, template here, because truly, especially in this age
Yeah.
where your attention is being taken up by so many things. Um, I'll give you an example. Yesterday, my wife is talking. I was checking on the effectiveness of my post, right? Just going just to check. But as she was talking, her voice started to get dimmer
Mm.
as I was scrolling, because my attention went from her to, yeah, shifted. And until I realized, hold up, who is talking to you? You say this woman is your queen, and yet this platform is taking precedence. And I just put that thing to the side, right? Because there is so much of your attention being grabbed on a daily basis. And leaders out there, if your attention is being grabbed on a daily basis tenfold, then you need to focus your attention and identify. Let's cover identification. What are the
Yes.
signs
So identifying the intention. I stands for identify the intention, and beyond identifying, I think it's more about the intention, because I strongly believe that a person who knows why they're doing what they're doing, and Simon Sinek talks about it all the time. So many people, thought leaders, who've specified and stressed on the importance of intention. Knowing why you're doing what you're doing is super important to work as fuel to keep moving forward. A lot of us lose steam because we don't even know why we're doing what we're doing. We get lost somewhere along the line, or we get distracted by someone else who's doing something else. We begin to second guess. We begin to play the devil's advocate. We do so many crazy things. But if you know what your why is, if you really fortified your why, you will stay on track. For instance, October was when life changed for me, and in April I was in Perth with both my children. They were on their Easter break and they were together. So I said, it's a good opportunity for me to go meet them. And I did. And on a bus ride, my son asked me, he said, Soma, what have you been up to? And I pushed him away, saying, I'm your mother. You can't speak to me like that. And him being him said, all of that is fine. What about accountability? And that's when it hit me. These are values I've taught them. I've lived by, they've observed. So for him to ask me that question is not wrong. So I took a step back and I sat down and made a list of why I should change what I'm doing, why I should change my flow. And I came up with close to 225 reasons. Yes, I dug deep. I dug deep. And it's not like 225 new reasons every time. They might, in that list there might be some reasons that are repetitive, and that's only because those values are more important for me. So having to answer your question, intention is very important. Whenever I kind of falter on my intention, or I'm having a bad day, that list then becomes my reference point to just pick me up on a bad day, you know, and to carry forward.
I love the relationship, right? You've deposited all these values and ways of being into your children. They come up, right? And it's funny because you mentioned then I think of my, gonna be 10-year-old that speaks like a 30 or 40-year-old because I've been speaking all these things. They pick up on it, and I'll get questions like that. What about
Oh,
this? And then
hmm,
I'll have to say, because it's easy in the hierarchy type of parenting to say, hey, you might want to check that question before. And then you have to realize that even at 10, I have to start transitioning him into a more of a, um, you know, mentor. I'm your dad. I will always be your father, dad, however you want to call it here on earth. But there's going to be a time where I've educated you to the point where now you may surpass me. And that is the goal. The goal is for you to surpass me, but I can't get all bent out of shape if I notice that you're already surpassing me. And it sounds like him at 10 years old, he's getting to a point where he's outgrown the area of the playground that we were in as a father and son, and he's getting a little more educated, and is coming out in the speech. So you're right. I love that you share that, because that's something that I have gone through. I'm sure that there are others out there that are going through the same thing. Their children are growing up and they're asking questions. You're like, hold up, hey,
I
but
know.
entertain the growth, right? Entertain the growth on both sides. And I love that you share that it that question caused growth for you. And he wanted, it was just a simple question,
Just
but
a simple question. Good intentions. And, I think a lot of times parents get it wrong because they want to give their children examples. They'll harp about things that they've done in the past and blah, blah, blah. But great, what are you doing in your present? Because they're observing you. and you have to live by those examples. You can't just quote examples and stories from the past, because they're watching you in the present.
Absolutely. Which is funny because it takes us to the let go, right? Let go.
Mhm.
There's a lot to let go.
Yes.
Ego as a parent, that's the first one that needs to go. But tell us a little bit about the let go.
So Enrique, I've presented this different countries, different kinds of audiences, and let go is the one that is the toughest for people. You know, every time we come to that point, I know so many faces in the audience are going to roll their eyes and go like, "No, I'm not," because letting go is about letting go of fears, letting go of past failures, letting go of bitterness, anger. In relationships with your own self, actually. But that's so important because it's only when you let go and clean the slate can you write again on it and have that readable impression. So it's super important to let go of any labels that you might be holding on to. Again, as parents and caretakers, teachers, sometimes they want us to do better, so they give us certain labels. They tell us certain things, and they stick within, and then we as the grown up still carry that label with us of not good enough, or I always have to work hard, all of those crazy things. So it's super important to let them go.
I firmly believe that. I'll share with you in 2017 was a let go year for me. I was faced with it, and I will say it was a divine intervention. If I could label it anything, it would be that. And uh, the letting go. And I love how you liken it to a tablet. You can't write more if there's no space. You have to clear that slate. And a lot of people have a hard time getting to that point, but the letting go allowed me to let me go farther. And
Yes.
it's funny because you let go, and it may be just a sting, but I have gone so much farther than I would have ever imagined had I not, right? So I encourage the let go for everybody, and it's a tough thing. Not everybody can do it. Some people will vocalize that, hey, I'm going to the grave with this, right? Uh, hey, self proclamation, that's on you. But there are options, right? We're just letting people know there are options. So,
True.
which also drives us to your very last point, which is energize. You cannot get energized if you're tapped out.
True. You can't. And the other thing is, when I talk about energize the possibilities, I'm talking about putting energy into possibilities, getting them into flow, getting the ball rolling. We learn so much. We listen to podcasts, we attend courses, read books, gather the knowledge. But until you start putting that knowledge into practice, putting it into action, you're not going to find results. It'll always be the next thing, the next thing, the next thing, and it's never going to feel enough. So it's important to put things into action, and also being aware of what you're bringing into your energy space. Not having boundaries, knowing that not everything is going to work for you. Some things work, some things don't. Some people have great vibes, some people don't. I mean, just being mindful of that is super important too.
Well, leaders, you have heard the entirety of what the smile is. There's a TEDx talk. I encourage everyone. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna link that to the video. You'll see that as a suggestion. Uh, uh, and besides the proverbial smile, the one that you can put on your face, which we would love every leader to carry around. There's nothing worse than a grumpy old leader, and it doesn't have to be old, grumpy, right?
Right is the word. Yeah.
Grumpy, but look at not only the acronym but the definitions, and take a look at that TEDx talk. um, there's been so much that you've deposited in the last thousand some odd days.
Thank you. Thank you.
that, that there's plenty, and I've joined you on some of those
Yeah.
daily talks, because I don't always get it as a notification, but I love to jump on and listen because you share so much wisdom there. Folks, if you want to learn how to smile, not only on your face but in life, follow this and you will get there. Now, if someone wanted to get a hold of you, listen more, get a lot more, hey, have you at their place and educate their people, how would they do that?
So my website, ruqayyakhan.com, is the best place. YouTube channel by the same name, Ruqya Khan, is where you can get those 1,170 plus videos. And also the weekly interviews that I've been doing. So I do Wise Wednesdays with RK. We are at episode 65 right now. And I invite people from my circle of genius, as I like to call it, people I've connected with and their work, and we do a 1 hour talking about a subject topic that might seem very insignificant, but it makes such a massive difference. So that's again something I do, and a mastermind group coaching program, which is a 33-day group coaching program that I have for corporates as well as individuals who want to reset for success. So I can share the links with you, and maybe you could post them in if people would like to register.
Yeah, definitely. I will put those in the video or show notes so that everybody can get the information and be able to reach out to you. You're talking about success. I always wear my success to you shirt
Yes.
because it's what we wish leaders to have, right? A successful career, successful life, but it does not come without some effort. And so, folks, if you're listening to this podcast, I hope you got the details of the smile. But if not, like I said, go to that TEDx talk and we'll post that as well. Ruqya, thank you so much for sharing your time with me, this platform with me. And as we love to say, as we end this show, success to you.
Success to you too. Thank you so much, Enrique, for having me on your show. Really enjoy speaking to you.